record.
What do you mean?
Would you hit record?
Yeah, hit record.
All right. But anyway, I was gonna say we could talk about what we're gonna talk about, then hit the intro, and then come back and actually talk about.
Well, this is the Dune 2 review. We're gonna be talking about Dune and probably refer to the Dune book and probably refer to Dune the first one. So, guys, this is our Dune 2 review. Hope you guys enjoy it. See y'all in a bit. Boom, what's good? What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Ferguson, and welcome to another great episode of LGRN Reviews. Today it's a special one because we are reviewing Arrakis. We are reviewing Dune 2, the blockbuster science fiction film that just came out about a week and a half, Justin, a week and a half.
It's been out, it's kind of weird because they did drop it for some places earlier than everybody could go see it whenever they could. So it was kind of
we're a day late. We watched it yesterday. Me and Justin watched it yesterday. Well, you watched it 2 days ago, right?
Yeah, I watched it 2 days ago, and
I watched it yesterday. Shout out to my. I'm not gonna shout out the movie theater because they don't sponsor us. So I'm not gonna do that. Until they sponsor us, I'll shout them out when they sponsor us.
Yeah, we ain't sponsored.
No, we ain't sponsored. But we're gonna be talking about. It's gonna be spoilers, guys. We're talking spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie, go watch the movie, then come back. All right? Because we're going to talk spoilers, man, because that's the way we do things here. Because we want to have a full form, lengthy discussion about the movie, and we can't hold anything back. We got to keep it going. So let's talk about it. Justin, 2 days ago, you watched Dune. I want your initial thoughts of the movie.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I did not waste my money, but it's not going to scale super high. 1 through 10, it's not going to be like an 8, 9, or 10. It's not going to get that high. For me, I got a couple of problems with it. Although, like I said, overall enjoy it. I know a lot of people really, really love this movie, and I can kind of see where they're coming from in some aspects. But there's some aspects that did annoy me a little bit during it that drove the score down a little bit, and we'll talk about that. But what's your initial thoughts, man?
I thoroughly loved it. I enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Daney. That's the thing. That's my favorite director.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of disappointing for me because I do love Villeneuve.
I love him, man. I think the only films I have not watched of him, funny enough, is Arrival and 2049. Everything else I've watched.
I love Arrival. I love Arrival.
Yeah, I heard Arrival is like some people say masterpiece. Some. Not saying all, but some have said that,
Bowser agrees.
Bowser agrees. So I need to watch those two films. I'm a big fan of Sicario. I love Sicario. If anyone's seen Sicario is one of the best films. It's tense. You're always like your heart is being squeezed the entire film because they're just moving on. The way they just kept moving. And then there's the scene at the border when all they get out of the car and then they shoot up a car full of gangsters and they kill them all, and then all they do is they just get back in their car and drive away. And imagine that. It's just crazy. So Denis, one of my favorite working directors here. I think he's been tasked with what Hollywood has said. This is what Hollywood has said. The unadaptable is what Dune was becoming. It was like, you can't adapt this movie or this book. This book is you can't do it. We tried twice and we failed twice. You know what I mean? So people, and then he was like, I want to do it, and everyone was like, sure, you do it, bro. Fine. And I think he overall did it. I haven't read the books, but these movies make me want to buy the book box set because I heard a lot about Frank Herbert and some of his inspirations, and I'm trying to investigate that more because it piqued my interests. So I liked it overall. I'm a big fan. I'm gonna be real with you. It's really hard for me to hate a movie. Most of the movies are I like them. Yeah. And then I like them or fine. I like them. They're great. I never really hated a film.
I never use the word, man. I think especially when it comes to anything artistic,
Yeah.
that I really can't use the word, like, unless I'm joking around or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like, I really can't use the word hate, because I really do think that people that are working on films, writing them, or putting them together don't really want to put out crap garbage.
No,
So
absolutely
like
not.
there is some heart to be found in almost every movie. There are some things that I could be positive on almost every movie. So I don't ever use the word hate. I hate the fact that people throw that around. I hate the fact that people attack people because of their thoughts on a movie. It's like stupid, dude. Like, I like plenty of movies and had fun times with movies that are pure garbage. And I know they're garbage, but I still had fond memories of the movies, man, because of a situation that I may have been in, or any of that stuff whenever I watched the film the first time. So that's just one of those things I've never gotten, is when people get to that thing and that area, right? Like, and it's like, sometimes I just want to like subscribe to the
Exactly.
I want to subscribe to the positivity, right? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to be so positive that I do overlook the negatives, because I do think criticism can be there, can be fun, right? You see what I did there though with the subscribe button thing right there? You see what I'm saying?
So I got
So,
you.
but yeah, when it comes to all that, like, I just really want to like really take a deep dive, and I do think some criticisms there to like change things. So like, we'll start off real quick with like,
But
what did
before
you
that, Justin,
go
thank
ahead.
you for bringing up the subscribe button, guys. We're at 860 subscribers. We're 40 away from a 900. So share the video, share it with your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your lover, your wife. Just share
Your
it.
grandmammy?
Make sure also, yeah, like Justin said, like the channel as well. It helps boost the algorithm, and it pushes us to people's front pages, and we want to grow. We want to we talk about film. We talk
Man,
about
we just want
film,
to hit
TV.
1,000.
You just
You know
want
what
to
I'm
hit
saying? We just
1,000,
want to
have
hit
some
1,000.
fun, do your thing, bro. So yeah, Justin, you said you liked it. There are some things you didn't like.
Before
Take us
then,
through them. Oh, before
well,
then.
I was going to say, before we get on this movie, I do want to get, because it's been a long or pretty good while before the first one. I know that me and you have a little bit of a differing opinion on the first movie. So like, you can go ahead and start it out. Like, what did you feel about the first movie before you watched the second one?
Oh, the first movie, I love the first movie. I loved it. I think the way they operated. It felt. So I watched it in IMAX, right? So I think I
Yeah,
was,
Big Daddy, Big
yeah.
Daddy, big money.
I think my theater experience was probably enhanced. So I felt the heart, the Hans Zimmer score in my chest. I was glued to my screen. I leaned forward. Like I leaned forward. It was drinking it. I'm a big fan of Oscar Isaac. I love Oscar Isaac. I think he's phenomenal. I think the way he played the Duke was tremendous. Um, you know, I'm gonna be real with you. Like I'm not really that big a fan of Timothée Chalamet. I really ain't. But I think he's not a detriment to the film. I think he's pretty good. And I've never been big into sci-fi, or like the science fiction stuff, or the science fantasy in some aspects. And this was the first sci-fi science fantasy. You think it's more science fantasy or science fiction?
I'll say this is more science fiction, where
Yeah,
Star Wars would be more of the science
science
fantasy.
fantasy. Yeah, so the sci-fi, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm gonna be real with you. When I saw the sand dunes, it felt like hey, felt like home. I'm not gonna
True.
lie. And I just thoroughly loved the movie. Like love Javier Bardem. I think he's tremendous in the little spurts of the first one, and I think he's tremendous in the second one. But my big thing with these movies, right? This is a tentpole movie of a big studio, right? And they're basically trying to make an epic, right? They're trying to make an epic, and if it like the epic slaps you in the face. That's what I think. The big, seeing them blow up that big old spaceship, the battle scene, where it's at night but you see everything. That's the problem nowadays. People think, oh, if it's a night battle, no, it's supposed to be night. No one's supposed to, like, lighting is supposed to be kind of like imaginative. You gotta make light, and that's what they do in this film, because it's science fiction. They're in a different world, so you get to see the battle. Josh Brolin was good, and when it was tense, I felt the tension in the first one. I don't know, man. I just love it. I just thoroughly love it. I can't really,
I can see why you love it. I can see why others love it and like it better than I did. I had two issues, and I think it kind of bleeds over into this movie, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up a little bit.
Mhm.
It's just simple fact of like, we had a great scene in the graveyard. I thought the vision for it, I even thought the acting for it was done well. The story that was being told about the family and this kid having to make this really super hard decision, I thought they built it up perfectly. But then we get to a scene later in the movie, right, when his family's died and everything else, his dad's gone, and he's got to make this decision that they built up to be this really tough decision. When this kid, when this young adult's going to have to step into the role of possibly being the leader for his family, like it's going to be a hard one for him to make. And it really wasn't. Like, after he finds out what happened, his family gets ambushed, his dad dies and everything else, and he's like on the road through the desert, like his mom gives him a ring and he literally just slides it on. There's no like conflict. There's none of that. So I thought that they kind of failed in the
I don't
ending part
think
of that.
that's the decision that's not the decision is he gonna be the Messiah, like the Liza Al Gaib, like that's like him being the leader of House Atreides, like that's whatever. That's whatever. The other decision is the main decision.
Right.
Him accepting that's the thing. Him
Which,
being,
you might be right, because when you go into the second movie, I'll give you that, right?
Yeah.
But like, they didn't build it in the first movie for me to know that was going to be the right thing, right?
They alluded to it.
They alluded to it, but they didn't do it good enough that like I think everybody would have picked up automatically 100%. Like, I kind of accept what you said, because like in this movie, he does have that hard decision. They just set it up in the movie before, but it was kind of done like in a weird way. Also, my biggest complaint from the last movie was they built up the house. They built this house up really big to be very dangerous, so dangerous that the bad guys wanted to get help from the emperor and his people to take them down. Not only that, but the big house knows that they are set up. Like it's not a surprise that they're going to get attacked for anything like that. But yeah, like, and that battle is like 10 minutes long because they get surprised. And I'm like, bro, they set up this house to be, and I know that like in the books, because I was actually talking to somebody about this, like, hey, what's a little different? And they tell me that they set it up better, that it's like more of a complete inside job where there's a lot of people that they trust that actually brings they didn't do that very well in the movie. In the books, they did that. In the movie, they didn't set that up very well. So to me, it just
was the doctor.
Yeah,
just the doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what, Justin? I kind of agree with you on that one. They should have fleshed out the inside job, the betrayal a little bit more.
Then when then when the battle's real short and they get beat, it would have made more sense.
Yeah.
The problem with that first movie was they didn't set that up very well. And I'm like, bro, y'all knew y'all were getting like betrayed. Y'all knew y'all were being sent here to basically get destroyed. You knew it. Like, and because of that, and because of that, they should have put up a better fight to me than what that movie had. Like I said, they still could have lost, but you could have set it up or had a bigger battle, and they just get overpowered over a little bit of time, right? Because like they can't fight two forces at once, kind of thing. And I would have been better with that. So that was my downfall with like the first movie. I rated it like a 6.5 for the first movie. But let's get into what we're here to talk about. Let's get into
Dune 2. Talking about Dune 2. The movie picks up right after Dune 1 ends. It's kind of like, I think probably a couple weeks, like a week or two afterwards. The opening scene is the Harkonnen are sent on basically like a seek and destroy mission. Find the Furman, kill the Furman, because everyone thinks the last of the Atreides died in the desert. Him and his mom, right? They're like they're dead. So their job is to hunt the Furman, kill the Furman. And here's I think the hardest thing in all of movie making is having a scene when no one's talking and it be compelling and it grips you.
Yeah. And
I think that opening scene did, because there's just moments where like I believe Nerd Chronic tweeted out, this has to be the most satisfying thing in the world. And it's a photo of the Harkonnen just jetpacking smoothly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yo, you know what, Nerd Chronic? When I was watching the movie, I thought of Nerd Chronic right away. And I was like, oh, you know what, Eric? You're right. That was awesome. Okay.
Yes.
That was awesome. And and you know the sand and the colors, you know the very orange, rustic brown colors, just them hiding. You hear nothing. All you hear is just knife slices, like
Yep.
that's all you're hearing. Creeping out of the sand, and it's a great way to grip you. You're like, oh, okay, we're kind of picking up right away. Like, not like, oh, 6 months have passed. It's like, nope, we're back in this. It's only been like a couple days. It's back in this, you know, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, especially there at the beginning and stuff. I thought a lot of good imagery, man. And when there were moments. You know what I'm saying? I enjoyed all that. I didn't have any problems with anybody, particularly in acting on any spot on this. I did think there was kind of like a couple of like weird cuts or like coming from one thing to another during the film. And I gotta say, one of my biggest nitpicks, like, and people can call it a nitpick or whatever, but we all have those sometimes.
Yeah.
Was that every ending to a scene, right? Like before they go to black or something and come right back to another part, or when they skip forward a little bit in time, you know. So like he has to go on this journey through the desert, basically to show his worth to this group, because he's still trying to show his worth. Nobody knows if he's like this prophet or whatever they think he might be, you know, like the kid or a man for a prophecy that, like, I guess brings these people into power or something like that. You know, some of them believe he possibly can. Some of them don't believe the crap, period. They don't even believe in the prophecy and that kind of thing. So it's an interesting dynamic there, but they send him off on this desert journey that he's supposed to survive. So, right, he's going through the thing. He's walking through the desert. It gets nighttime and stuff like that. And he's having to like set up his tent and everything. And his girlfriend, you know, she actually don't believe in this prophecy, but she really likes him. So she's there to kind of help him out. But there's like a scene where they're like, she's talking about setting up the tent, and there's like these little filter things that she's helping, like show him what they do. Bro, it was every time anything happened and they were going to move to something else. So I got a nitpick on that story for one, because we never saw what happened on his little journey for the desert and him surviving it, because it went
you just see him walk over the dune.
Yeah. You just see her help him. Yeah, she helps him with the tent stuff, and then they go directly to like almost a little battle scene. It was a kind of a cool scene. So I'm not hating on it completely, but every scene they went to had that very dramatic, she's tightening up a filter and you hear whoom, 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 and then like it goes to like black, and then it comes back, and they're like, you know, like you were talking about, like one of the scenes at the beginning of the movie where they end up battling, you know, the ships and stuff like that.
And there's like
helicopter things.
They're holding the like
things so they can breathe and everything, which is cool. That was a cool scene. And I could have got the dramatic music, you know, after that scene's over with, or even during that scene. But if you notice, man, every clip, it didn't matter if it was a dialogue scene, kind of a sad scene, or just a woman helping the guy put the filter on the tent.
The score comes in.
Yeah, every stinking time. I was like, bro, can you stop? I literally was thinking that during the movie about halfway through. Can they only save that for like a bigger moment when maybe they introduce the bad guy, or they do have like a really cool thing in a fight scene or something, or when just a really big, you know, huge moment happens towards the end of the film? But it was literally, it felt like every time they jumped any kind of time at all period, it would whoa, whoa. I was like, bro, and it was loud. It was loud as shit, like every time. I was like, come on, dog.
I'm gonna be rich. I'm kind of happy that you know. So Hans Zimmer went through this phase where he was doing all the Christopher Nolan films, and then they all were like the same. It was like, you know, the Inception theme, that thing, and everyone was like, oh, he's kind of like a one-trick pony. But now I think this man loves Dune so much, like he loves making music for these films, because in the first one he released like 3 albums. For this film. So I'm like,
the score as a whole, right?
It's amazing.
During the complete movie,
but more variety in the changes is what you're saying.
But it was like every time, and it wasn't even nothing big. Like I said, lady screwing a filter together. I was like, bro, she's putting a filter on the thing. Like, I'm thinking that during a movie, and I shouldn't be thinking that during a movie. Like I said, some people might not have picked up on it at all, didn't really care. That was.
Well, Justin, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question of what the opening scene when they kill the Harkonnen and they murder them, right? And they're murder them like it's war, so it's not really murder, it's war. And they stick them and drain their water. Their water. What was your feelings about that? Because I have feelings about that where it's kind of genius. You know what I mean?
I really like it because we're setting a sci-fi. We're in a different planet. It don't even have to be completely 100% sci-fi. Like we're set up in a different planet here and everything.
Yeah.
So, and we're in this fantasy style world, sci-fi fantasy stuff, whatever you want to call it, right? Science fiction. I think it's a really cool way to like
get water. Yeah.
Now, I don't know what I would feel like if I was going to have to drink that water later.
But here's the thing, right? So Stilgard, Timothy, so Paul is like, yo, y'all gonna drink that? That's nasty. He's like, oh no, we don't drink this. This is like, he basically said this is shit water. This water is shit, but it's really good for the it's really good to it's really good to like clean the gears or something. He said there's some shit like that.
I think he said something about like keeping the radiators cool or something. Because
something like that. It was like
backpacks or whatever that they keep.
That so like we use their water for that.
Yeah.
And then and then later on you see the evolution of how when the movie Paul's rising to power and the way the Fremen evolve to kind of conform to his upbringing. I'll tell you one of the examples later about why when we talk about it a little bit more. But Justin, we keep moving along. He's a part of. They're bringing Jameson's body, the man he killed in one-on-one combat.
Movie,
back to the northern, cache or their
church.
tribe. Yeah, their tribe or church. And they're all looking at him with vitriol and anger. And it was kind of like, he's still an outsider. They don't trust him. They don't trust his mom. She's a Bene Jesuit. No one trusts them. I wouldn't personally. If I was anybody, I'll stay away from them. They're always conniving something. We'll talk about conniving Bene Gesserit a little bit later. Talking about the Harkonnens because I quite enjoyed that scene with Austin Butler, and we talk about it a little bit later. But they kind of, I don't remember what it was. So like he's eating his food, and Stilgard's very religious. He's trying to convince him that you are the one. You need to accept it, and he's like, no, man, no. And he kind of then leaves Paul. He's like, screw Paul. And he's like, I have to convince his mother. And he takes his mother and they basically takes her to their cemetery.
Yeah.
And you're like, for a minute, I didn't understand what it was, right? I'm like,
I knew immediately. That's why they can't drink it.
Yeah.
There are these people that almost thirst to death to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're always on the verge of like not having enough water to even survive, but yet they have this huge pool of water. And so as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's like everybody that dies, their essence, basically their water gets poured into this like basically pool. And that's where everybody that's ever died is like kept. And like he said, they have all kinds of water, right? Way more water than they ever would need. They got it all right here, but they don't partake of it because it's their fallen soldiers, family members, and all that kind of good stuff. So
because previously you see the mum like kind of like, so I'm calling it the mummification of Jameson because that's what the Egyptians used to do to their pharaohs when they died. They would take out their bodily fluids, their organs, kind of have them hollowed and wrap them up, and then put them in the sarcophagus, and then they put them in the tombs, and they stay there forever. And the Furmans did that as well. A lot of North African, Middle Eastern influences for the Furman in this film, which kind of felt kind of cool. That a little bit of my representation kind of was in there, so I quite enjoyed it. Kind of a little like a Bedouin nomadic fighter. That's what I think the Furmans were. They're Bedouin nomadic fighters, and in the Middle East, that's what they were. They were Bedouin nomadic fighters. They would travel from place to place, protect the land they are living on, and they were one of the most skilled fighters in the world at that point. So it's kind of cool to see them.
I am glad that you said that because look, man, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, I think things get way just too negative about certain things. So when there are things to congratulate on and things to recognize, instead of being like super hyper negative all the time about all kinds of things, I think we should celebrate the fact that, like, you're right, like these desert people, like would probably, like you said, like would be people that were representative more of you or whatnot. Let's be cool that like a lot of those people did, I think, represent you and stuff like that.
We were
Like,
we were the good guys in a
no,
movie.
but that's what I'm saying though. Is like
Yeah.
praise that instead of just always being negative about like not having it. But at the same time, you can pray or you can be mad because like you don't think it's enough. But like my problem is when it does, and it is like in a big movie like this, people want to try to ignore the positive. Let's push up the positive, man. That like, yeah, you're right. People that look like you or whatever, right? That you, like you just said, like that you can
It was inspired. They're inspired.
Inspired by whatever, right? They were actually seemed like these really good people and stuff like that. They were the good guys. Obviously, they're portrayed as bad guys in a lot of other things, but like they are portrayed as good guys here. So yeah, you should be very proud, and I think you should talk about that more. But because it's the positive part. It's like things are changing. They're not as bad as what people try to complain about. Things are changing and changing for the good, no matter what. And I think that is a pretty positive thing. I didn't think about it, but like I said, you're different than me, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Like you actually came from, Yemen and stuff like that in that area. And like I've always lived in the United States. So like, oh man, it'd be cool if I was in your position to be able to see like these people and prayed and played in a positive light. You know what I'm saying? Like I just think we always forget the positivity. We just want to be negative. We just want to yell at each other.
Yeah, man. Like that's why I think this is why this movie hits me a little bit deeper. I think because it's a positive representation of a culture inspired. Because apparently, when I researched Frank Herbert a little bit, he took a lot of influence from that region.
Right.
He really took a lot of influence in that region, and
bro, if I was doing a movie like this,
cool.
If I was doing a movie like this, I would go to that area of the land. Obviously not in a certain area right now. I'd go to the more peaceful region, but of that area. But I'd go to that area and I would like camp out, man. Like I would see all these things with my eyes.
Immerse yourself in the culture.
Yeah, immerse myself at least for a day or two. You know what I'm saying? And see the scenery and stuff, and like come back so that I have a better understanding of how it would be. You know what I'm saying? Like spend a couple of days out in the desert. It'd be tough. It'll suck, but do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and try to have some fun with it and try to like immerse yourself in that land and the things that could happen there. That way you make better decisions when you're being a director and stuff. I think more people need to do things like that.
More research.
But yeah, the scenery, like all the scenery, the visuals,
oh my God. Just all
this stuff is amazing.
The set pieces are just tremendous. And
just the place where they had the battle where it was kind of set up, they're supposed to be poisoned, but the one big bad was like, hell no, we ain't poisoning this one guy, and that's really a present because my grandson happens to be a gosh darn sadist. That whole area, I didn't really care. I was like,
well, let's talk about that area. Let's talk about that area.
Why are we going black and white? Why are we going black and white?
So they explained it, right? So Justin, so that planet, we've actually been to that planet before, but it was during the nighttime. Yeah. So it was night. So we don't really. So that planet is. They have a dark moon. It's not a regular moon. It's a dark moon. So the dark moon in the daytime, this is their explanation. The dark moon in the daytime
makes it like that.
Yeah, makes it black and white. And all I'll say is this, man, I make fun of Austin Butler all the time because of, oh, I'm a method actor. I still have Elvis's voice and all that jazz. And I make fun of him like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? Yo, man. Shout out to Austin Butler. All right. I think he played a sadist very well. He played a genocidal maniac very well.
There's books and the stories they didn't want to put in here, I was told by my friend, because I'm like you. I don't know a lot about the books. I am kind of interested in the story more now.
Apparently he's like
big into it, and he was like, those people do some crazy ass shit. They ain't gonna put in the movie, and I totally understand.
Apparently, that was the tame version.
Listen, man,
and which is you want to sell the movie to the masses.
Yeah, but the imagery they set up, and like maybe it's set up like this in the books too. It's almost like, to me, I was watching black and white footage for World War II for the Nazis. The way they was walking, the way they had people on the side, like doing the,
we're watching a Nazi party in black and white. Absolutely. Yeah,
exactly. So like I thought that kind of hit close to home, especially because I think that words like are used way too much these days. It's like, bro, like people say Nazi sometimes. I'm like, bro, do you know what a Nazi is? Did you remember?
Yeah,
Like,
they're pretty. Yeah, they're bad.
Yeah,
They're bad.
I don't think you know what that word means, but what it is, what it is.
They were
but
Nazis.
It's still, yeah, but these people
Austin
in this
Butler
movie,
in this movie is a Nazi. He wants to kill everybody.
Yeah, but yeah, that stuff's going on now.
Yeah.
I like the little battle scene. I like that it was set up to where like the other three guys were like kind of poisoned, and then we had the one guy who could actually put up a fight because he wasn't poisoned and stuff like that. I like the fact that the bad guy he wanted to be a badass, so like he got mad because one of the guys on the side like came up at 1 second and tried to like help him out because he hit him that one dude in the shoulder with something.
Those weird dress dudes.
He looked at him and told him to stand down. Yeah. But he looked at him and told him to stand down. Hell no, this is my fight, so he's going to do it. So I love that fact. I love the fact he threw his shield to the side. That was a perfect way to set up a bad guy to me. Now, if they would have all been drugged, then I'd have been like, oh, this is kind of stupid waste of time. This guy's really not a badass.
Yeah, what a great decision. What a great decision for that.
No, but you build up a bad guy. But I think they did two things in this movie. One good, one bad, and one is setting up the grandson. Okay? The grandson's a badass dude. He's got some smarts.
Who?
And he's a fucking the grandson. The son is dad. The guy, so you got the big bad, right? The big fat dude that sits in his pool of whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, the Baron.
Then you got his son directly below
No,
him.
they're both cousins.
So them two are cousins.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the Batista's his son. Yeah, you're right. Batista's his son.
Batista's his son, and then the other dude's the grandson.
Yes,
like he's
Austin
actually
Butler,
the grandson.
yes.
Yeah. So like Batista, they set up to be the brute, but he's dumb as rocks. I mean, he's dumb. He about as dumb as Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. You know what I'm saying?
He's just a weapon.
He's an idiot.
Yeah,
so we got that, and I get that, and I understand that the son is kind of like part of the power of the original.
He inherited it. He didn't take it.
And the grandson is like the intelligence and some of the fight that the granddad has. Like he's almost a perfect mixture of both to a certain point. So I thought they built up the grandson in this movie 100% legit. Well, whatever he ends up being. I thought he was a grandson, but it doesn't matter.
He's a nephew.
But we talking about the evil bastard that was in the fighting arena. So like I thought they built him up really, really super good. Like I was like, hell yeah, dude, this guy's a badass, right? So I'm pumped because now I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen to this guy? We know he's the bad guy. They're making him look like Nazi Germany over here. We know they're gonna lose in the end, right? But how are they gonna lose? How are they gonna be able to take out? Like there was like, oh man, they might have to cheat to beat this guy. This guy's sadistic. He's a badass. So they put that fear in you with this character, right? We'll get to it when we get closer to the end here, but I have a problem with the grandfather, the big hit lead, the guy who's like the Duke of the Baron or whoever that leads this whole thing. I got a problem with how they treat him later on in the movie, but we can jump on to other things if you want to get out of this like whole part where they set the bad guy.
Yeah, so it keeps going, and it kind of at this point you're in the middle. So in the middle of the film, you're kind of like they're going towards prophecy. They're going.
Yeah, it's basically setting up the prophecy. We get a couple of little battles, more skirmishes here and there. Home dude showing them how to like fight these people and stuff like that. So it's helping them out, and people keep growing. They keep believing.
Yeah.
Every time he does something, he's doing it on accident. He doesn't mean to. I don't even know if he knows all the prophecy or not, but he's not trying to do all these things, but he's accidentally doing these things.
Yeah, that's why he's reluctant. That's why he's reluctant to go to the south, because so the Firmen are split north-south. And the South are more religious fanatics. They believe in the prophecy. The prophecy that the Messiah will save them. One of them being is Stilgar, who's Javier Bardem. He's a Southerner, but he's the leader of the overall Firmen. But he's a Southern Firmen, so he's more religious than the Northern Firmen he leads. And he's very reluctant to do it. He doesn't want to go south. He doesn't want to get more people from the south. He believes the 20,000 he does with him is perfectly enough. Paul.
Yeah, he has a vision.
Yeah, his visions are haunting him. I think at this point, his mom is talking to the baby.
Yep.
In her, because the baby is talking to her,
Which I will say in the book's a little bit of a difference to give you, because like I said, I've been
I heard about
the baby is supposed to actually either be born by now or she gets born enough so that she's like around 4 years old when the ending of this, but she's never born in this movie.
So here's the thing, Justin. There are many changes from book to movie. Yeah. So one of the main things in the book, so when Paul's house like gets evaporated and it's just him and his mom, in the book it's a 2-year jump.
Yep.
They jump 2 years. But in the movie, you kind of see
we jump a couple of weeks, maybe. We
jump a couple of weeks, and then at the end of the movie, it's definitely like 7 or 8 months. Yeah, because you can follow the progression by just watching Rebecca Ferguson's character, and the growth of her bone.
Oh, yeah, she's about to give birth.
Yeah, and at the end of the movie, she's definitely like not in 8 months pregnant. Yeah, like she's definitely like probably 8 months pregnant. So they got rid of the 2. It kind of makes sense. You want to expedite this. You want to keep it moving because it's a movie. It's not a book.
I'm fine with it because I know what the 4-year-old girl would be doing in this book or like in the book at this time. And you may not want to have that imagery or do that in a movie. So I get why they may have made this change. But like I said, I have my criticisms a little bit later when we get to the end. But they do the water of life thing. She gets her power. She becomes in more power with those people, like you said, the women that are.
She becomes the Reverend Mother, which is like the head religious figure, like of a council, kind of like a pope. It's like she becomes like the pope,
right?
Not the pope, like a priest. But you know what I mean. But like their priest pope thing, where the previous one then dies, and she takes it over, and she becomes the Reverend Mother overall. And she like gets the plan of like we have to convince the weak ones to believe in Paul, and the weak ones are the ones scared of us. So we need to make them believe that we're not scary.
I personally thought that they did this whole thing kind of cool. I will relate it to one of the oldest stories that we know, which is like in the Bible with Jesus, right? You know how like if you read those books of the Bible, Jesus kind of not really on purpose, but things just happen that make clear like the road to some of these prophecies that were said like in the Old Testament. During the New Testament, while he's walking around earth, there's these things that happen that like he doesn't necessarily do, but that others kind of do that makes him do something that like gets him to be like it's the same way in this movie, like what I'm saying. The guy doesn't want to be anything special, but every time he does something, it seems to like prove the fact that he's a prophecy, right? It seems to be something special and everything else. Well, his mom does the water of life. She becomes the head of that. The baby's talking to him. They're trying to, I guess, make their family more powerful so that they can make a comeback. Boom. And then he drink like no man is supposed to be drinking this water of life. They die. If they drink it. They die if they drink it.
Unless they're the Listen Al Gaib.
The guy for the prophecy. So
the prophecy is.
And he ends up drinking it. He doesn't even really want to, but he ends up doing it, and then he ends up surviving. So what else happens? Everybody's like, oh damn, he's the guy.
So he survives because they added Shanti to the prophecy. Her Furman name is translated to Desert Spring, and then she doesn't want to do it, and then the Reverend Mother, being a Bene Gesserit, forces her by using the voice saying, "Do it," and then you see her fix it up, and the prophecy says, "The tears of the Desert Spring shall revive Lisan Al Gaib." So she cries, she touches her eyes, touches the water of life, and then she touches Paul's mouth and lips, and he springs up.
Yep.
He's been there, which then fulfills the prophecy, and everyone loses their shit. Everyone just loses their shit.
I'm cool with all this setup, right? Yeah. I have no problems here. Like I said, acting and stuff was really good. No problems through all.
Yeah, I think Javier Bardem just kills it. He's like you just see him. He's just in love. He's like, I was right all along.
Yeah,
I was right. Yeah. So Javier Bardem kills it. Javier Bardem kills it. But Justin, I want to talk about something. We didn't talk about it in the early part of the movie, but there's a narrator at the early part of the movie. There's a narrator telling us the story of the past couple months through her view. It is Princess Urlan, played by Florence Pugh. She's the daughter of the emperor who betrayed House Atreides, in the sense. And her introduction in her way, Justin, how'd you like them setting her up in the sense?
I thought it was okay. Like
Mhm.
one of the reasons why I didn't bring it up, you know what I'm saying, when we're at the
Mhm.
first part of the movie, so it didn't make like a huge impact. Now by the end
Yes.
of the movie, like I kind of knew like what her role is probably going to be to play. It kind of sucks
Mhm.
that she has to be involved because, like, you know what I'm saying. If you're trying to ship the two main characters here, that's going to drive a big wedge into it. But like, I just didn't think like I didn't think it did anything great for the movie, or I didn't think it took it away. Like I think it needed to be in the movie, but I just didn't think oh wow. I noticed it was Florence Pugh and was like, okay, cool. Like she's a really good I like her as an
Actress.
actress, right? So like I like Miss Lamar and stuff like that. So like whenever she shows up, it's cool, but I wasn't like, oh God, this is like the greatest thing ever. So
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and it's kind of forgettable. Like I said, it is kind of important to the story when you watch it because you do need a little bit of a setup
Yeah.
and everything else. I thought crapping on his name right now, but the Emperor himself.
Christopher
I thought,
Walken.
yeah, Christopher Walken. Yeah, Christopher
Yo,
Walken.
man. When I saw him, I was like, yo, that's my guy, Chris
And,
Walken.
and I thought he did pretty good, and he didn't do his like silly stuff to kind of pull you out of it. He kind of was
Mhm.
just being
He
an
knew what
actor at this
movie he
point.
was in.
Yeah,
He knew
exactly.
what
So
movie he was in. He wasn't gonna, talk like this
yeah, yeah.
and talk another
I almost heard
way.
it at one point in the movie, almost like he almost slipped into it, but he was able to stop himself.
Punctuation
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how
So
we're doing. He didn't. He's an actor. He did his job, and I think he was in his little spurts. He was just in a constant state of like,
I'm
I
just gonna
hope
be
like
honest. I'm
I
gonna be
just
honest
I
with you though. Both of
yeah
them characters did not jump off the screen to me like everybody else did.
yeah.
They kind of wasn't supposed to. You know
I
what I'm
don't think so
saying?
because
They
I
were just
think
a means to the story. Now they may become bigger characters, obviously, like in a third movie or whatever,
I heard
continuing the story.
the
But
book. I think it's number 2. It's called Dune Messiah, and I feel like that's like the one everyone loves. That's the book everyone loves,
mm,
Dune Messiah. And let's get a sequel, man,
I mean,
or
they set it up. They obviously set it up for a
oh
third
yeah,
movie.
have to. But yeah, man, we keep going. The prophecy is fulfilled. He survived the water of life. Um, did you like the scene of how they get the water of life, Justin?
Yeah. But that woman like strangling like a little baby eel, that's kind of like animal abuse, if you ask
It
me.
was a worm. It was a
Yeah,
worm.
but come on, dog. It look like little eels, especially when they
Yeah.
small. But
Well,
it's a big
they didn't
sandworm.
abuse Justin.
They
They,
out
they
there
didn't
murdering
abuse
these
it.
sandworms,
Yeah,
bro. No
they
wonder these
murdered it. It wasn't
sandworms. Yeah,
abuse.
yeah,
It
they
was
murdered it.
murder. It
They
was
murdered
murder.
this sandworm like it's bull crap. You know, just like you got mad at Grogu over here for eating them little baby like
It was it
tadpoles
was
or whatever
it
it
was
is.
yeah, it was murder.
Same bullshit. They
It was
out here
murder.
killing these worms, and then they walk around wondering why these things show up to eat them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, shit, you're out there killing them and taking their life essence away to use it for the life water.
Well, now let's talk about a sandworm that was awesome.
The Big
So
Daddy.
they're
Cool.
talking about, listen, El Gaib, can you he
Can
wants
you
to learn
ride a
how to
worm?
he wants to ride a worm. And he's like, all right, let's ride the
Hey,
worm. And he
let me tell you something. There's
Stilgard
a
taught
lot
him how
of
to do it.
listen before you because I
Stilgard said,
you're
okay.
gonna listen. You're gonna be serious here, and before you start getting serious with the moment, because I think it's a cool moment too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of jokes that could have been said about riding
Oh,
a worm right
absolutely.
there, but I didn't say none of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We didn't make the jokes, Adelia. I hope you're proud. I hope she watches this, and I hope she's
Yes.
proud
Oh, yes.
that
Because
no jokes came out.
Adelia being a Dune book reader,
Yeah.
she's a big Dune book reader. But yeah, so my favorite thing is before where it's like, all right, I taught you what you know. Don't embarrass me. Don't do nothing stupid. Just
And
do the thing.
the funny part to me was
No.
they was all hoping for like a small one. They was all
Yeah,
hoping
yeah.
he doesn't get a super big one or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But bro, he gets the
So
biggest. He
my
gets
thing,
the biggest.
I love when they cut to Javier Bardem. He's like, he basically says, "Holy shit, not that big." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they all get like,
Yeah.
"Oh snap!" And then he jumps. And Justin, I know probably a lot of this was visual effects.
Oh yeah. No
Yeah.
doubt.
But did you feel it like visually, like visual? Like I
I
feel like
think
some of it was
it's
like,
one of the cool things in the movie because of the
mm-hmm,
fact that like
it felt real.
I
You
do
know?
think the choices that they made, even though it made it cloudy, even though it made it like to where you couldn't see everything super well,
Mm-hmm.
the way they shot it, the way they put it together, though, made it feel like you were there. To me, on
Yeah.
that moment of the film, like I was wide eyed, bushy tails sitting over there, like, because hey man, guys riding a worm, and it felt like you were like there holding on
Riding
to
the
the worm,
worm.
like I
Yeah.
thought that was like really cool, really good job by the effects team. by if they use practical effects at some points. Those guys, anything that was done during this scene, I thought was done very well. You could tell where some money was spent.
Yeah, and you know, costume designs, the set piece designs. So Justin, you know how we always talk about budget, Justin? Me and you always talk about budget, right? Yeah. How much do you think this movie cost?
I'd say 300 million if I was going with what Hollywood's normally been doing.
Yeah, this movie cost 190 million dollars.
Yeah, it probably should do that though. If you think about the sets and stuff for this, shouldn't be too expensive.
Yeah, I know, and
you know what I'm saying?
That's
this worm scene and some of the ship stuff, but like they didn't have that going 100% in the movie. Like there was a lot of like setup and story, which was good. They did the good job with it.
And I think that, and like people talk about like how did he do this under $200 million? Like how is it possible? It's because you know you got to plan this stuff, and you got to you use the practical with the visual, and you don't overblow stuff. And this is how you make it an blockbuster film on time and under budget. You know, like this is because you having strong leadership of the film. It is a Warner Brothers film, so the studio leadership is probably not that solid. It's probably shaky, but definitely the directors and the producers definitely were very solid. And this is how
yeah. So just to put it in perspective, this is the difference between a lot of like Hollywood movies that's been coming out, especially when you're talking about studios like Disney and such. They make these movies for $300 or $400 million after you add the budget to like advertising and doing the movie itself.
Some salary.
They end up losing money, even though they technically may make a decent amount of money. Like we can do Indiana Jones, for instance. It lost a shit ton of money. Probably the biggest flop of last year, even though technically it probably made around 400 million or 300 million in the box office. Don't sound too shabby. You know what I'm saying? But when you make a movie for 400 or 500 million, you basically got to do double that to get profit. Right. So this movie, in turn, I think it's really on its first week. It's like 6 or 7 days in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
So worldwide right now, it's over $204 million. So they've already surpassed their budget, but they do need to hit. Yeah, they do. No, because they do need to hit about 4 million or 400 million to a little more than that to break even. Then they start making their profit. But what I'm saying is this movie in its first weekends got over half of that already. Right. And you got to look at it. What's going to be. Even though this ain't my top, I know this is not going to be my top movie of the year. But even saying so,
it's not fighting anything.
Yeah, what are you up against? What are you up against?
Nothing. You're up against nothing. And it's.
I might go see it to see more worm riding. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I may see it again. I'm not gonna lie to you because I may see it with friends. I may see it 3 times. I'm not gonna lie to you. I may do it.
It's a sad state of the movie theaters right now, to be honest with you, man. I'm rooting for them. I hope they don't like a bunch of them.
I believe June is gonna be it's gonna be like 3 solid movies in June that everyone's in love with. So there's that.
The only movie that there's only one movie I'm really looking forward to coming up, and that's Deadpool. Like besides this movie and Deadpool, only 2 movies this year that I was even excited about. Now there might be something that comes up that I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even know that was coming, and get kind of excited for it. But as of right now, the beginning of the year, this movie and Deadpool and Wolverine is the only 2 movies I was like, oh shit, I can't wait for them to come out.
Yeah, man. So we keep going forward. So we find out Gurney's alive. Gurney Halleck, played by Josh Brolin. Shout out to my main man, Josh Brolin, Thanos, Cable, the Goonie. I don't think he's the truffle shuffle guy. I think that was somebody else. I've never seen the Goonies, so I don't know. So Josh Brolin is found, and Josh Brolin has a secret to tell everyone, where he tells Paul, hey, he's like, Paul, I know where your dad keeps the nuclear weapons.
Ooh.
I know. Ooh. And he's like, all right, let me show you. And he showed him where, and Stilgard is shocked that like it was right underneath your noses. Exactly. People are like, it's obvious. It was like, of course. That's why no one thought about it, because it was definitely obvious. Which, sometimes works. Yep. It really sometimes works. So then they go in, and I'm like, oh, how many nuclear weapons they got? They open up this vault, and you just see a bunch of just like random warheads, and all you hear is Goonie say 92 warheads right here. And you're like, what? 92 atomic warheads? Like, get right here, 92 atomic.
I wish they wouldn't have said that to me, because that's going to be a big deal. Like, why would you be shooting them off on your own planet that you obviously love and want to be control over? Because if you use them, it's done. your planet's
Yeah, I don't know.
gone.
I don't know what their version of atomic warhead is.
Yeah, maybe theirs don't give off the radiation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Maybe
know
they
what
don't do
my
that. But
definition of an atomic warhead is.
maybe
I
they
don't know.
figured out the trick of shooting an atomic bomb, but then like it not shooting out all the radiation
Yeah.
somehow or whatever.
Speaking of atomic
Like,
bombs, you know, shout out to Oppenheimer.
yeah, shout out.
You know, Chris Nolan, Hans Zimmer
Yep.
connection. So yeah, and like Gurney's just like really smiling because he's ready just to kill people. He's like literally ready, like, I want to start murdering somebody. And he's just like, I want to start killing some people. And let's hurry this up because I want to go to war. And you just see him kind of like exude that and kind of push Paul, Justin, to like accept his fate, like accept it. You are, listen, El Gaib, you are the chosen one. Why are you scared of who you are? You know,
I think they're
I
like
didn't
him
raise
and his
you to be
mom.
scared.
Like, I think you said his name was Gurney or whatever, and his mom.
Yeah.
I think they're all doing this out of selfish reasons or whatever. Home dude doesn't want that. He wants these people to stand up for themselves and be making the big decisions on their own. But like you said, everything kind of unfolded. Now he's putting this pressure. Everybody's believing in him.
It's a vision after drinking the water of life.
That's different from the one he was having before. So like, I guess he's like, man, maybe there's a chance. Maybe I got to do this and everything else. He makes up his mind. And they travel south on the Big Daddy Worms because that's the only way they could get through this like sandstorm area.
Yeah. They
get there to find out that the like emperor and stuff's already like there hanging out, like waiting for him, basically.
Yeah, and he's just waiting for him, and they've set up ready for war. And there's the scene where he's, you know, his mom comes in and she's like, "What do you see?" He's like, I've seen the future. I've seen it." And she's like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Just see death and destruction and pain, but there is a narrow path to our victory." You know, and I quickly, I don't know
if it Doctor Strange all of a sudden after the
he's like exactly. But I'm like news like, oh yeah, he's gonna you know, spoiler alert, he's gonna marry the Empress's daughter. Like that's the narrow path, you know, because you know, back in the day, you got married for political affiliations and stopping of wars and mixing of families. It happened all the time, and he kind of did that. And then it kind of cuts to them getting ready for war. And they're ready, and the flags are out. Sandworms are ready and locked and loaded. They attack them from like 3 different fronts, you know. And Justin, the battle scene, you know, the initial battle scene, it wasn't long because, you know, probably saving money. This is Lord of the Rings, so they probably saved a lot of money by having a big battle scene short wise, and then they kind of cut to the Emperor. Like, how did you like the battle scene and the way they operated that way?
No, I like them worms getting some of their revenge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like that kind of stuff and all of that. My favorite part of this was not really the battle scene. I don't think it's like one of the greatest out there. I don't think it's bad.
Nah.
But I love when they get to the room, when they get to this like throne room or wherever it is, and then we see the big players standing in the same room at the same time. So the guy that they built up to be the ultimate bad for this one was the grandson. Like, he was the one that could possibly, you know, end this. And because they set him up, like I said, and they're all in this room. The emperor's in this room, and then basically he tells the emperor, he tells the emperor, like, he lets him know that I am the last son of the house. House Atreides.
Well, he already knew that because he sent him the letter. Remember when he sent him the letter?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, basically, and that's probably why he was there. But I'm just saying, like, he's definitely letting them be known, like, hey, I'm about to tell everybody. I'm going to tell everybody, Emperor, that you're the reason why my house got destroyed, which could cause a bunch of other great houses to be like, whoa, wait 1 second. So, like, whenever we are not considered useful or we considered too strong, we're going to get wiped out by the Emperor out of nowhere, set up. So, like, they think that's going to cause some strife, right, with the great houses and the Emperor and stuff. And then the Emperor basically is taken out.
Speaking of houses, one thing that we found out in the movie, which was probably in the book, that Paul Atreides isn't just he's only half Atreides. The other half, he's a Harkonnen, which is the big bad group. He's an Atreides and a Harkonnen. I loved some of the Christopher Walken scenes, and she asked him, like, I think you know, Florence Pugh's character or Lana, she asked, like, why did you do it? And she's like, they were growing defiant. They weren't just growing, they were growing defiant. They weren't listening. So I had to get rid of them. And I like how like the Emperor basically said, I'm willing to use those dipshits from the Harkonnen to do my dirty work, because they want the dirty work, they want to kill people, and they want the spice,
right?
Because they want that, you know. So there's that.
But I have to say, we get in there, you have like everybody confronting each other and looking at each other basically in this room, and then it what? So yeah, man, we got like the people facing each other down, like I was talking about, and then straight up, we get this is the thing that earns points. Now there is going to be a part of this scene that loses points for me in the movie, so they kind of evens it out here, because of the fact that like the fight scene, the knife fight in this, oh my god, to me it's better than any knife fight I saw like in John Wick that we get a lot of props to. Whoever choreographed this fight, it was really well done, orchestrated. And both the actors did a super good job. It was believable. The things that they did and moves that they did wasn't like so outlandish that it took you out of the scene or anything like that. It was like, it felt real. It felt like these guys were that good that like they literally fought that long without hitting each other. Like, you know, like it wouldn't be a good fight if it was like 3 seconds long. So like they're going and they're blocking each other and not getting hit with the knives for a pretty good stretch. But the way they did this was very realistic, and I believed it. I believed that these two guys were that good because of the setup that like they could go for a pretty good stretch without getting hurt at first. But then obviously things started falling apart.
Well, Justin, actually, they changed the knife fight from the book, because in the book it was poison blades, so they were poisoned. But so Denis made Denis wrote the screenplay with somebody else. His name was like Stephen Pass, I think. So they changed it from poison blades to more of a strength and skill, like you said.
Yeah,
the choreography, it was a dance. They danced, you know, and it was really good to see. And you
which
know,
I agree with.
Yeah,
I agree with, because if you have poison blades, the like whoever
Yeah.
won can't get hit. I love the fact that the person that ended up winning got hit multiple times, right? So with the fact to where you thought they might lose for a minute, and that kind of thing. But with poison blades, you couldn't have pulled that off.
Nah, because when Faye stabs, I was gonna say Tim. When he stabs Paul, you're not saying, oh, it's over, Paul dead, he shouldn't survive. Like, he just got stabbed. Sometimes you survive, sometimes you don't survive. And they're also wearing kind of like armor in a sense.
A little bit.
They're still wearing a little bit. In the book, Paul stabs him in the jaw.
Yeah.
He stabs him through his jaw into his brain. So he stabs him this way.
Yeah.
You know, but in the movie, he stabs him in like I think the chest area, which was pretty cool. I quite enjoyed it. It was a good like, you know, climax fight. You know, because everything then, you know, after the big, they shot the atomic rockets at them and they blew them up and they killed them. Everything kind of, in a sense, quieted down.
Yep.
And it came down to a battle. You know, a single individual battle, like kind of what life is. It's just battles by yourself with against whatever problems in front of you. And in a sense, it was Fade Rotha, I think that's his name. Rothton, I don't know. Austin Butler. He was the problem, and in Austin Butler's point of view, Paul was the problem. So one-on-one battle with the problem, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah. No, I like that part. The problem that I have in this scene, because I like everything else in the scene. I love how they had the setup. I love that the other houses were basically like, nah, man, even though you just won,
they were kind of watching from outer space.
Yeah. So like we saw you win this battle. We saw the Emperor have to kneel down before you and kiss that little ring you got and stuff. Like, we're not going to agree with you. But in the middle of that, right, in that area, the big dude that's the leader of these Harkonnen or whatever, right? And this has happened a couple of times in movies in the past, and I get tired of it. This guy who's in power and control of this like huge nation that's all about power and strength and basically sadism and all this stuff, right? But like all they want to do, like you said, is like kill people, and the more people they can kill, the happier they are. That's what they about, just money, power, and just all that kind of good stuff. Blood, guts. They don't give a crap.
Batista's character,
he is the leader of this group. Now, in the books, they do it creatively to where he does kind of die like he does in the movie, but It's the daughter. It's the sister.
The sister.
The sister is only like 4 years old at the time, but she's like super smart because of that water of life.
She's like a 4-year-old, but she's like 25 in the brain.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
that's what they're trying to do.
She's probably even more than that because she's like because the mom took that
Bene
stuff.
Gesserit.
Yeah, so she's got like that power
water of life.
Where she can see all these things, and that's how they can communicate with each other like afterwards and stuff like that in this movie. But in the books, that's what happens to the guy. In this, why, bro? This dude's supposed to be a bad ass.
But his thing, Justin.
All he does.
Justin.
He falls on the steps and then lays there like a punk, and then just gets stabbed in the neck. And it's
because Justin, you know what it is, right? He's a bully, and what you do is bully. You punch him in the mouth, and you see if they fight back. And most bullies kind of run away. That's what he is. So people be like, he's a badass, but he wasn't really. He was a badass to an extent because his extent was he knew the emperor was helping him. If the emperor never wanted to get rid of the house of Atreides, the emperor kicks out the Harkonnen, and the Harkonnen listened, and they listened, but they came back because they knew the emperor was going to help them kill House Atreides. He's not a badass.
I understand.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing and your head canon and everything else, right? Because everybody can do that if they want to. Like I do that sometimes as well. And they can be like, okay, cool. Like I can see why this can happen.
Well, no, the emperor's army helped him.
But my problem with that is like, if they didn't set up his people the way they did, right? Like this house, the Harkonnen being like what they were, then I wouldn't even have thought of this. But my whole thing is he's in charge of it's obviously maybe there's another house we don't know about yet, but like as far as right now, he's in charge of this like house that is like huge with like I said, power. Like these are those kind of people that if any kind of weakness would have showed itself, some other power hungry, like freaking sadistic MFer would show up and take him out with any signs of weakness. And for him to just be a character that falls on the steps, like I said in the books,
but he almost got taken. No, Justin, but he almost got taken out by a paralyzed man in movie number 1. Because Atreides was smarter than him. Because Atreides had a plan. He needed to get the Furman on his side, but then he ran out of time because he was ratted out. Yeah. But when he was paralyzed, he knew he's like, I'm gonna die, and I'm smart enough to have a poison pill in my teeth to crunch it to kill him. That's why he's on the ventilators in number 2, because the poison infested him and severely crippled him, killed his other son. Remember, he had 2 sons. He had Batista and David the guy.
I get what you're saying, but my point being is like he wouldn't even be a character in this movie. Like if he would have got that hurt or if he was that bad off, because someone would have came and took the power from him, and because of the way the way they built that family up to be the kind of people they are. Like
because let's just say because the emperor they had the emperor's backing. That's why no one came after him, because they knew the emperor had them. Because Justin, in number 1, you remember the great scene where it's quiet and
I will say this:
people are floating downward from the sky. That was the Sardukas.
Yeah, but you brought up very valid points. I will say though, even with those points being there, that literally
you could have killed him better.
No, that's my problem. Is like a big bad like that that's in control of a house that's like this should have, like, to me, I would have set it up to where at first it's Paul versus Big Bad, the big dude, right? Like, because he's got to announce to fight the highest person of the house to do what he was going to do, right? And so maybe he goes to fight that guy, gets a couple of licks in on the big dude, maybe the big dude gets a couple licks in on him, but not something super serious.
We're talking about Stellan Skarsgård, the one who floats?
Yeah, the big dude.
Yeah.
The leader.
Yeah, he's not a fighter, man. He's not going to fight.
Bro, my point being is like maybe they face off a little bit because he is their leader, the house of leader. And then the grandson knows that he sees the weakness at this point, right?
Nephew.
Right. So maybe he's been masking the weakness this whole time. And so when the big dude his granddad or whatever goes to fight.
Nephew.
I thought he kept calling him grandson.
He's an uncle. You know, he's an uncle.
But who cares? All right, I done screwed that up like 5 times.
I know. Care. I've corrected you all the time.
But I could have swore they said grandson. I don't care. I don't think, so anyway, we had to go back and actually look because I could have swore they said grandson. I might
keep talking. I'll double check it.
Yeah, but anyway, so like to me, if they would have had the big dude stand up, have to fight against Paul, right? Like at the very beginning, but then the younger guy sees that like the leader, his whatever nephew, uncle, whatever, sees he's weak. He comes up, stabs him in the neck, right? Kills him like he gets killed in the book, but instead of the 4-year-old doing it, it's him, pushes him to the side and says, I will not lose my house from a weakling. It kind of pushes him to the side. And then Then they had the same exact fight they had. I'd be a little cooler with it. I will say this. You made sense, right? So I am leaning towards it's not as bad as I thought. When you do put in the
because your idea is like epic.
Yeah. No, well, not even that. It's just because I hate them having these leaders of these groups that always die in some stupid way. They build these guys up and then they don't really follow through with it.
But that's how leaders tend to die. Justin, you ever heard of like how
movies we're not in like real life here, fair. But I'm just telling you,
fine. Yeah, you're right. Good point.
No, I'm admitting that you made a good point, but but I'm not going to concede on this. It's the director and the storyteller's fault that I'd never thought about the poison one time in this movie. I didn't go see Dune 1 like just to go see this movie. I saw Dune 1 the one time in the movie theaters when it came out. I didn't think it was my favorite movie. So like, obviously I haven't went back to it often at all and no other time. In this movie though, there's not one show because even before he got poisoned, he was getting into that bath thing. So that wasn't like a sign that he was sick or maybe still.
Yeah, I still don't understand the
I don't even know what the bath thing is. Like that black bath he's in, like, but whatever. But my point being is this movie, no setup for the fact that he might be weakened because of the poison. There's no other thing. There's no sign of him being weak. Right. Except for the fact that he's a big guy. He's a fat guy.
No, Justin. He has the tubes into his back with the floating ventilator. You remember the tubes? You remember when so like initially when they go meet the Emperor and the Emperor's chastising all 3 of them, right? And then one of the Sarduke main guy, who I think is Michael Rooker. I think that was Michael Rooker.
I know what you're talking about, but I didn't really.
He cuts the tubes.
No, I mean, yeah. Listen.
He's all, by the way, you know, Fade Rothan Harkonnen is the nephew of Baron Vladimir Harkonnen,
who is the
he's Stellan Skarsgård, the guy who floated. And then there's Batista, I think either is son or nephew, and Austin Butler is definitely his nephew.
Okay,
yeah. Then you know his other son,
but it doesn't matter. But with that part being said,
yes,
the with the actual like apparatus that you're talking about, like I remember that, but like I didn't see that and go, oh, that's because of the poisoning from the first. I was just assuming maybe he's like a weird guy sitting in some black pool like we were talking about during a decent amount of scenes. So I'm maybe that's another contraption that he just uses to keep his power or whatever, because he's obviously this huge guy, right? And then he's floating on this thing kind of deal at one point when he goes to see his nephew fight. And I'm just like, well, he's just a fat guy. But even with that being said, like, you know how there's like these rulers that are it's kind of like from Game of Thrones, Robert Baratheon. Like, right, like he was a bigger guy, he got fat over time and stuff. But you get the feeling that when he needed to, he was when he could whoop somebody's ass.
When he killed the Targaryens, when they stole his woman.
Was slimmer, more in shape.
He was probably in his in his like late teens, early 20s. So like he grew older. He stopped working out. Everyone wanted him, so he got fat.
Yes. So basically, though, what I'm saying is, you didn't get the feeling that even though he was kind of fat, out of shape, and sitting around most of the time and not doing a lot of physical activity, you also still got that feeling that, bro, if somebody came up in his chamber and tried to say some shit, he was going to get up and whoop that ass. Regardless of that, right? Regardless of the fact that he let himself go a little bit. And that's how I was kind of envisioning him. I'm just tired of sometimes these bad guys getting killed. Like it's supposed to be the big dogs getting killed like in some stupid ways. Sometimes it's like, bro, come on, man. Let's have them do something. Like I said, in my vision of a story, I would have did that. He would be the one that would start to have to be in the fight at first. And it's like the first time you really see him like stand up on his own 2 feet. And you're like, oh shit, like this guy's coming for real right now for the first time. He's like the big bad. We haven't even really seen his power yet. And then like we see that sign of weakness, and his nephew comes up, stabs him, and says, I will not lose our house to some fake weakling. And then they do their fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that would have been kind of a cooler way to do it. Now, in the books, because the 4-year-old surprises him, that would have been fine, right? He's kind of like sitting back and he's like being all husk and and then like the 4-year-old stabs him in the neck out of nowhere. Like you wouldn't expect that, right? So like obviously that's like something that I could live with. It was just the fact that he's like laying on the stairs, like he's helpless, can't do anything, doesn't even make a move to fight it off, and just get stabbed in the neck. Like I said, I didn't like that. But you know what? You made a couple of valid points. So instead of at a 6.5, I was giving this movie a 6.5. That was my score was going to be. But because of you saying that stuff, I can't give it a full point because of the fact that like I thought the director, like how they made the film, they could have made that clearer. So I think there's going to be of the poison still affecting him and stuff in this movie. Because I think a lot of people's going to be like me. They seen the first movie one time. They don't really remember some of the other stuff. And they don't think about it at the time. And they're watching this movie on its own. And then they don't even think about it until like somebody like you reminds them, because maybe you watched the movie more than one. You love the movie, obviously. I'm giving it a 0.5 instead of a 6.5. I'm going to score it a 7 out of 10. I'm giving it a little.
That's good. But piece by piece. I'll convert you, Justin, piece by piece. But yeah, man. Overall, Justin, I think we've gone over an hour. Let's talk about towards the end. Paul basically becomes, the leader, and they all hop on their spaceships, and they're all gonna go commit. They call it the Holy War. Because another difference.
Well, he tells them we're gonna take them to paradise.
Yeah, Green Paradise.
Take them to paradise.
So another change from the book to the movie. So when Paul takes the throne, the other houses in the book don't really say anything. They kind of let it play out. But but in the movie, Daney and the screenwriter, I need to get that person's name. They made a very direct decision of saying they're gonna go against it, because we can have a clear conflict in number 3, and probably make it easier for people to follow. It's a clear conflict. They don't want him.
Trilogy, they're gonna have to cut some of this stuff a little bit to make it
because I believe Doom Messiah is longer than the first book. So we'll see. How did you like that, Justin?
I don't mind. They had a pretty good fight scene at the end. The only thing I didn't like I said, was the big bags of the Harkonnens getting killed like he did. I didn't really like that very much. But besides that, I liked all the stuff at the end. So whenever they went straight to battle, it's like, well, I know there's going to be another movie. I was figuring there's going to at least be a trilogy of this. And so I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I'm fine as long as they set up the story. Like some people had a little bit of problem with last year's movie, Into the Spider-Verse, the second movie, because like the way they said to be continued at the end, some people didn't like that. But I was like, no, I'm excited for the second movie because they really did set up the fact there's going to possibly be like a Sinister Six or something in the next movie. So I'm kind of hyped for that. So I didn't have no problem like some people did with that movie. I think people judged it a little too harshly on the ending of that movie. But in this movie, though, I'm fine. It's got even a little bit of a better ending. Obviously, it ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger with all the ships going out to battle these other houses that clearly did not agree what was going on and everything else. And we also got the conflict of, love. It's going to be a love triangle, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he turns down his love, man, and he looks at that's one of the things. It's like, bro, shut the hell up. Like, this is the danger. I think the danger is like us as a team recently, because we're always a little later on stuff or whatever, getting the team together and watching things sometimes. So like we recently just got through doing Lord of the Rings of Power show. One of the bad things about that show is that there really wasn't too many people to root for. The couple of people that you could root for wasn't like the super big time players they were like some of the under characters that you could kind of like and think
Wasn't
was cute or whatever.
Galadriel in Rings of Power?
Yeah, bro, they did not make that character likable. Now the problem is like I don't hate it that much because I'm smart enough to realize that elves are supposed to act the way she acts. They're supposed to be very regal, smug, kind of like think you're not important because you're not an elf. That's how elves act in the Lord of the Rings universe. Okay. Mm-hmm. So like to me, I didn't have a big problem with that, except for the fact that I did realize that I understand why some people may not have loved the show as much as others is because of that factor of like having the big fist pumping like hero that you can cheer for because of the way she was portrayed in the show. With Home Dude making his decision, tossing old beautiful to the side that he's been riding and dying with.
They're not, in wrestling terms, they're not white meat baby faces.
Yeah, exactly. He's going with Florence Pugh over here, and he kind of breaks the heart of his love that's been with him that whole time. So, like I said, it's like
throwing
Queen Elizabeth. It's like Macho Man Randy Savage throwing Queen Elizabeth to the side to go to Queen Sherry. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like Scary Sherry over here. That's what he's doing. And it's like a lot of people might be disappointed with that. Now you're running the risk of like the one character that's supposed to be the heroic person, the top of the top, like you said, white meat baby face. Mm-hmm. We don't know if we should cheer for him as much anymore, right?
Yeah.
What kind of guy is he if he's making these kind of sacrifices? He's throwing his one love away.
Yeah.
Some people can't forgive that. So we'll see how that works in the next film. I'm going to assume he's going to get back with her or something like that.
I don't know. You got to read the book to know beforehand.
I mean, are we going to get, Ferris, are we going to get in this movie the Macho Man Randy Savage love story where he throws away, like I said, Queen Elizabeth and gets Scary Sherry, but then when Scary Sherry shows her real face and he's like in a real bad situation, all of a sudden we get Queen Elizabeth come running into the ring.
I think he hasn't thrown away Shawnee. That's I don't think so. He really wanted her to stay and be with him, but he wanted to I have to be married to her for political reasons, but I'll always love you. But
this is another thing in this kind of story, medieval wise or something like this, right?
It happens all the time.
Set up. And why can't he just be fake married to her? He keeps
that's what it is. That's what it is.
No, but this is one of my point is though the other person to me is blinded by love or jealousy or whatever. Like that's how you could look at her character, right? She runs away because she's jealous. But it's like, why can't you just be open-minded to the fact that like he doesn't have to kiss her, he doesn't have to do anything with her, period.
This is a royal transaction.
And as long as he shows you all his attention and he's with you all the time and he loves you and shows that and doesn't give two shits about her, it's only for show so that they can like do their thing that they've got to do to survive. Like sometimes I'm like, bro, take the bullet.
No, well, Justin, here's the thing. I think I know why Denis did it because regular folk are gonna be watching this, right? If you're a book reader, you know that Shawnee didn't leave. She stayed and she became one of his concubines, but he really loved her. Like that's his woman. But in the movie, he had to portray a level of.
You're saying this man's got many lovers and she's just one.
Yeah. He has he's the emperor, man. Of course, he has more than one concubine. The harem. The harem having more than one wife it happened all the time back in the day. It happened all the time back in the day.
So is there a chance in part 3 that we're gonna get this guy with like he's gonna be making all kinds of love making and
he
stuff?
Probably but one of them's not gonna be Shawnee because Denis wanted to create a visceral reaction for people who are also in love, right? Who love makes you do crazy things, and one of the things love makes you do is I don't want to share the love of my life, fake or you know what I mean? Like imagine Justin, you have to be with another woman, and you have to tell Brandy, hey, I have to do this. Can you stay to be my concubine? Was in real life, is Brandy gonna be like, sure, Justin, I'll be your concubine?
But hey, I will say that she'd have problems, but like if we lived in a medieval world, right, and our houses could, like if I did this fake little thing over here that I'm not gonna do nothing with her, she's just gonna be sitting there being pretty, whatever. But
you're gonna have to do something with her because back then you have to consummate the marriage.
They didn't have cameras. Back then.
But you have to consummate the marriage. Back in the day, you had to have intercourse.
Listen, bro, I'd be
nights.
doing some Game of Thrones, man. I'd be throwing like, one of my lower level guys be like, yo, just have sex with her. And then I'd go to my real woman. I'm just saying, man, back in those, maybe we become like the biggest dynasty of all time. Me and Brandy sitting on top of the world, but all we got to do is sacrifice this stupid woman over here that
No, you can't say we, Justin, because you're not sacrificing anything. She has to sacrifice something, not you. You don't sacrifice anything.
Well, all right.
You know what I mean? Brandy has to sacrifice.
Listen, in the world we live in, you're right. In the world you live in, we live in.
But exactly, right, Justin, in the world we live in, to create a visceral reaction for the viewer, you do that, right?
Yeah, but I don't hate it because I didn't read the book. So, like, I'm fine with their decision with that. I'm totally fine with that. Like, I think it's going to be cool. Like
they could have made her a concubine in the movie. They could have done it.
No,
but
they can't do that.
They know they could have.
They could have.
Oh, they could have. Hey, no, they could have. But they knew, people, they're always they love always grabs people. And he spurned his love because he needed to rectify a situation. And a lot of people going to be like, how dare you spurn your love? And there's going to be like a visceral reaction of certain people, of men, women who feel like the love of their life, they let it get away or they messed up some way.
I think this movie, if they would have went that route, I think this movie would have gotten, like, not this movie particularly, but the next movie when they did that and made her a concubine, if they did it like the books, it would have got railroaded because they'd have been like, you took this strong female, like, and made her just a sex slave to this dude. Like, bro, that shit would have been started. Yeah, it would have been started. I agree with you that you should always make the freaking material like the story. If you don't like the story and you read the book and you're like, well, this don't work, then don't make the damn story. That's what I feel like. You know what I'm saying?
There were a little bit changes, but
sometimes there's some shitty stuff that happens, bro, in real life.
You need to deal with it. We can learn from it.
Change some stuff. No. I'm saying that in the story, like, if it's a major thing in the story, keep the story. There's a reason why people are Dune fans, even before these movies were made. Like, just keep the story. Stop changing shit. Like, we can learn things. Bad things happen in a movie, right? Where, like, that character gets thrown into this situation, and we can learn from those mistakes or those situations to be better. If you keep trying to, like, go around all these things and soften everything up, like, what lessons do we learn? We don't learn nothing, man. We got to learn stuff. Sometimes the world's shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also another aspect of the shit in this movie is, like I told you, Justin, the Furman, them following Liz Al Gaib, which is Paul Atreides, and the way he was raised, right? You see slight little changes, but the biggest change is this, Justin. When they killed a bunch of Harkonnens, right? I think in early part in the movie, and like I think after, like, the big battle, they put all the Harkonnens in, like, in kind of like a little Harkonnen mountain. And instead of doing the Furman thing of sticking their water and, taking them out, they do the great houses thing, and, like, kind of like the Empire Atreides Harkonnen thing, they burn the bodies. So they're starting to slowly lose their authenticity to themselves because they're following their Messiah. And the way because he wasn't raised like them. He learned their ways, but he didn't raise them. And then they're kind of slowly changing.
I agree. There's lessons to be learned here. That's a great point to lead out with. We can cut this out after this points are made. But that's a great point to bring up. Like, that's one of the things I'm thinking that, like you say, you could learn from. Sometimes there's got to be a thing. And I think, like, our real world today needs to do this. Is we need to have this balance of learning that things need to be a little different in some ways, but that we also have to respect some things that have always been there in tradition for, like, who we are as people, what we can be as humans and stuff like that, right? And not try to change everything because we think everything's either wrong or bad or whatever, right? Like, we have to come to this perfect balance where there's this, like, progressive side of us that wants to get better, maybe make better inventions or something like that to help out our society at a certain point. But at the same time, keep some of our traditions and some of our ideals, right? That's always been there, that's kept us as humanity, that's got us by this far, right? And that perfect mixture of coming together, like, could be, like you just said, basically they're losing their culture. They're starting to like act more like the other people, which is probably going to be the devastation of this group of people, right? If they would have kept some of their things, maybe they could have changed the thing here or there, but if they would have kept more of themselves, they probably would have survived. They probably would have seen things coming better. They probably could have protected their people better. But because they're trying to fall into the line of like change and be something different to a whole, like trying to change their whole livelihood, basically, right? Like because they're doing that, it might be their downfall. And I think that's what you were hinting at.
Yeah, possibly. So we've gotten towards the end of the review. Thank you guys so much for watching us. We appreciate it. Make sure to, guys, at the end, hit that subscribe button. We're at 860 subscribers. We're 40 away from 900. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, and especially hit that bell to get all the notifications of going live. And when our video drops, they usually drop at 3 o'clock on any given day. So make sure to always watch out for that as well. So on that note,
thank you to the Patreons out there, guys, real quick. I want to give you thanks. And then like if you join the Discord and all that stuff by joining our Patreon only for $1, we've been doing way more like watch alongs with like the people that are in our Discord, the people that are with us on the Patreon, like I said, for as little as $1. The $5 tier, you get to join us on all these like watches where we watch some older movies, we watch some shows, and we get together, do quick reactions to them and stuff like that. And you can be part of all that. For as little as like $5, and $1 just gets you in the Discord to hang out with us if you want there and all that kind of good stuff, to have kind of a safe place to go and nerd out about certain things. Do that. But take us out, Ferris.
Justin, where can people find you, my man?
Here.
That's true. Here. Yep, that's true. You can find them here. And you guys can find me, guys, every Friday, 3 o'clock Pacific on our sports channel. We do have a sports channel. Me and Caleb talk American football, good friends, better rivals, as well as on this channel, 8 o'clock every Friday, where me and Adelia have the open table. We have a long form discussion forum where we just talk about whatever. This week we're talking about the Oscars because the Oscars are, I believe, in a couple of days. So make sure to watch them, enjoy film. I think Oppenheimer is going to win a lot of awards, justifiably so. But so I digress. And as well as other stuff every Thursday, 3 o'clock Pacific. So this video was recorded on a Thursday. So our episode of season 2, episode 1 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, our Rewatchers series, has already dropped. So make sure after you finish watching this video, you go on to the Buffy video and watch me and Rob Snark talk all things Buffy.
If you made it to the end of this video, God bless you. God bless you.
God
bless you.
So me and Rob takes me through the world of Buffy. He's the expert. I'm the novice, and I'm just here for the ride. So stay safe, everyone. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you guys next time.
Damn it, I gotta pee, Ferris. Hit the button. Hit the button.